Is SIG taking over the world? Maybe at least the gun world. That's what we're going to talk about today on Gunfighter Life, the podcast where we talk about guns and gunfighting the right way with Almighty God at the center, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. I'm your host, Michael Milito. You probably know the background, the bio. First and foremost, I'm a Christian. Follow Jesus Christ, serve God. A lot of gun experience, hence the title of the show. Been a professional gunfighter most of my adult life. Military, law enforcement, private contracting. Anyway, let's talk about SIG. Let's talk about Sig Sauer. These guys are taking over the gun world. And maybe taking over is a strong thing, but I was thinking about this the other day. They've got their hands in so many different things. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, SIG's a fairly old company, right? But it wasn't that long ago. If you thought about SIG, you mostly thought about their 226, 229, their classic double single action handguns. And they made those really well. They're legendary, world-renowned, reliable, rugged handguns. And I think they were kind of bypassed for quite a while by the whole Glock and the polymer striker-fired stuff. They attempted to get into the polymer market with the SIG Pro 2022, which was kind of a flop. And they then tried to get into the polymer market with the SIG P250, which was kind of a flop. It was their polymer modular thing that failed before the 320 took off. And I'm trying to think about when this all turned around. Now, the 320 came out, and that's their polymer striker-fired version, basically, of the 250, which flopped. And the 320 was an okay gun at first, except it might shoot you if you dropped it. So that was not cool. But they fixed some problems with that, and I think, really, they won that M17 contract. Now, they weren't doing bad before that, but I think that really kicked it up a notch for them. The M17 really kind of started picking up the pace, and it beat out the Glock, it beat out the Smith & Wesson M&P and some other guns that competed for it, and it kind of won me over as well. I wasn't keen on it at first. I'll be honest, I got one used. And I got it mostly because I wanted to try running an optic on a carry gun. And I got an M17 for a really good deal used. Figured I'll get to run an optic, see if I like it for a carry setup, not just for training. And I'll get to try out the military's new handgun. Well, this is the gun that's on my hip right now. And my other go-to carry gun is a Sig Sauer Legion P226 single action only. So right there, two SIGs. And I'm not a SIG fanboy. I'm not like the guy that's like, ooh, SIG. I wasn't even looking for SIGs. In fact, when I was looking for my primary, premier go-to carry gun, I was actually looking for a Beretta. But they didn't make the gun that I wanted, meaning single action, safety on, at a weight that I wanted, that was optics ready. They had some of those things, but it didn't have all those things. I ended up getting a SIG 226 Legion because it was right about the right weight limit for what I was looking for. And that's kind of outside the scope, but it was the best option. On both those, it was the best option. Also, giant news after 50, 60 years in service, the military is looking at replacing their M4, the M16, the AR pattern rifle, whatever you want to call it, with a new gun. And guess who wins the contract? SIG with the M5/M7. What? We got a SIG army? We have a SIG military now. SIG handgun? SIG rifle? Are you kidding me? SIG is just dominating the market. That's basically a big brother to their MCX, which is a good gun. I'm not surprised that it won. I don't think it's what I would choose. I've gone over what I would choose for a military infantry weapon, as I served infantry in two branches of the armed forces, Marine Corps and Army, and was an urban warfare instructor for the Marine Corps. It's not exactly what I would have chosen, but the fact that they went with SIG, it says something. I don't know if I'm hip on the whole 277 Fury, but I should point out also a SIG cartridge. So they won the cartridge, they won the rifle, they've got the pistol. Do we have a SIG military now? Should that be the Army's new marketing slogan? Join the Army and you'll get a SIG. Like, instead of, it's probably better than the Army of one, right? But again, SIG. And it's not that just they're making stuff, they're making really good stuff. And it's not just this. A while ago, they came out with ammo. And I wasn't hip on the ammo for a while because, and I still think of them as a new ammo company, but they've been making ammo a long time. And they make good ammo, right? They make really good ammo. Not that just they make ammo, they make good ammo. You see them in the ammo world. You see them in the suppressor world. And they don't just make suppressors, they make decent suppressors. They make one of the best PCCs on the market, the MPX. It's an awesome gun. It would rival any other, I think, pistol caliber carbine, even the legendary MP5. Now, both have their advantages and disadvantages, but the fact that SIG has one in the running that can even compete, they have optics. And this is where I'm less a fan of their red dots. Like, they're not the best red dots, especially for a handgun, in my opinion. The Sig Sauer optics, I'm not the biggest fan of them. But hey, I think they're better than Vortex. And Vortex is an optics company. So here you have Sig, who not that long ago was making double single action handguns mostly, in ammo and rifles and optics. And they're making better optics, in my opinion, than Vortex. Especially their red dots, which is an optics company. Now, to be fair, I think some of the really high-end Vortexes are probably better if you talk about their scopes. But talking about optics, the Vortex did win, I think, the contract for the optic that goes on the M7. But SIG also got a military contract for their 1-6 LPVO. So they obviously make pretty good optics. So they're making good, not just red dots and handgun red dots, but they're making good magnified optics. They make good hunting optics. Since when does SIG make hunting stuff? But they make really good stuff. They make a SIG Cross, which is, I mean, you could call that a hunting gun. I'm not real hip on it for a hunting gun. But you could do it. You could certainly put, you could put the SIG optic on a SIG Cross with SIG ammo and go kill an elk. Right? Where was that 10 years ago? 5 years ago? That's SIG taking the market by storm. That is SIG doing a tactical assault on the gun industry and winning. You could add, again, we talked about suppressors. You can add a suppressor to that. I don't remember if they won the contract for the suppressors for the M5, M7, but they very well may have. Also, they make their own mounts. Like, I was on looking for mounts. I needed mounts for something, scope mounts, and SIG wasn't even on my radar, right? I was looking for like Warn or Weaver mounts or something, but the best option I saw was SIG. I didn't even know SIG made their own standalone, but there was like a Sig Sauer Buckmaster scope mount. I looked at it. I said, it looks like it's made pretty well. Again, I'm not a SIG fanboy, but it just happened to be the best one on the market. And I'll tell you about a recent purchase, which kind of got me thinking about this episode. If you are unaware, went to Alaska to live there for a while, came back, and even though we parked our truck in a guarded, locked facility, somebody had broken into the truck and taken several guns out of the vehicle and ammo, and so God provides, though. We had stuff set aside. So to kind of rebuild the arsenal, I was kicking around a gun store and I saw a SIG Tread, which is kind of one of their affordable AR options, the SIG Tread. It wasn't even on my radar, but this one was used and it was a great deal, and I hemmed and hawed on it for a couple of days. It was just such a good deal. I thought, well, for that money, I'm not going to say what I paid for it, but for that money, I mean, I could just part it out if it's not that good, because it was used. It was a good deal. I took that thing out yesterday, the first group I ever shot with it, and this is a used gun. Now, I sight my guns in at 50. That's how I sight my guns in. This is at 50 yards, but it was also on a metal gate with a rubber rest sitting in like one of those cheap foldable lawn chairs. The first group out of that gun with Hornady Frontier ammo was one hole. You could see three distinct little circles, but they all touched. It was one hole out of this SIG Cross, which was a very affordable AR. I was originally looking at a Colt. I was looking at getting a Colt, just like I recommend to you guys, a Colt 6920. It's kind of the standard. But I saw this cross for such a good deal, I figured why not get it, and if it's not a shooter, I'll part it out. But it's an amazing shooting gun. There's some things I really like about it, some things I don't really like about it, but I bought a SIG AR. It's the first AR I've bought in years. And I'm not a SIG fanboy. I wasn't going out and like looking, let me get a SIG AR. No, I wasn't. I was looking for a decent truck gun survival AR setup. And SIG won. Just by the nature of that. Now, it was a good deal on a used gun. It may have just as easily been something else. But the fact that it ended up being a SIG. And SIG makes a really good AR. Again, they're kind of taking the market by storm. And I take no sponsors here. They're not paying me anything for this. But my two go-to carry guns, SIG. I carry a full-size fighting handgun day to day. But if you look at the subcompact, the Micro 9 market, pretty much the best one is going to be the 365. Right? It's just SIG. Yeah, my go-to carry guns, a SIG 226 Legion SAO and a SIG M17. I now have a SIG AR. And I just bought SIG mounts for planning on putting them on this AR. Now, I'm not putting a SIG optic on it because I already have a good loopholed optic. But you get what I'm saying. SIG went from a company, I mean, they've been around a while. They made the SIG P210, a great gun. They made a couple of really good guns, but they were not dominating the industry, right? But look at them now. You've got handguns and really good ones. You've got the military's new handgun, the M17/M18. You have rifles and really good ones. You have, again, the military's new chosen rifle, the M5, M7, SIG. I think they're running SIG suppressors. You have suppressors. You have other rifles. You have the SIG Cross, a good bolt-action rifle. You have the MCX. You have the Rattler. You have the MPX. Again, probably one of the world's best PCCs, pistol caliber carbines. You have really good Micro 9s. You have really good ammo. It's not just ammo. It's good ammo. It's good quality ammo. You have optics. You have more traditional, like hunting scopes, 3 to 9s. You have really good LPVOs, and you have red dots. You have the micro red dots. You have the full-size red dots, the Romeos. You've got magnifiers. You've got rifle red dots. You've got mounts. And apparently they make a really good AR. So, and I know they made other stuff before those handguns, but primarily when you thought about the handguns, when you thought about SIG, you primarily thought, at least I did, the 229, 226s. I carried a 229 on duty back in the day, back in the aughts. And that was really what they were known for. They had like the SIG, their like AK variant and stuff, but I'm talking about the American market. And now they've got all that, not to mention like all the swag, they have shirts and all that kind of stuff, the apparel. That's not really here or there for gunfighting. Oh, and they have the 6 Hour Academy, right? They do training. I lived in New Hampshire. I didn't train for them. I'm not going to misrepresent that. But I was a trainer in the state of New Hampshire, the live free or die state. I was the head firearms instructor for a facility, and I would often go to 6 Hour to their academy. They do training, right? They're one of the bigger names in training. So they do the training as well. What else do they make? They make a good 1911, right? SIG making a 1911. They don't just make a 1911. They make a good 1911. They make perhaps one of the really, probably the best, in my opinion, 380s on the market. The P238. It's a fantastic gun. I'm not a SIG fanboy. I'm really not. I know it sounds like it, but they just make a lot of really good stuff. Perhaps one day they'll make a shotgun, and then the SIG empire will be complete. But SIG just kind of taken the market by storm. They make a lot of stuff, and they make a lot of really good stuff. Now, again, I'm not brand loyal. If something is better, I'll get it. But it seems like more and more, a lot of the stuff that I'm looking at ends up being a SIG. And that says something about their quality, about their bringing stuff to market that people actually want. And just kind of SIG taking the market by storm. Just a thought for you guys out there. Hey guys, if you want to support the show, if you appreciate the show, if you think it's of value to you, please consider becoming a patron. You get a lot of cool insider content, and hopefully you want to do it just to support the show. But there is some pretty cool insider content on there. Consider becoming a patron. There should be a Patreon link in the show notes. Or if you just want to throw a couple of bucks, there should be a Venmo link in the show notes. Anyway, with that, the tactical tip of the day is a good one. Kind of stumbled upon this as some accidental chemistry. But it's kind of a game changer for cleaning ARs. Hops Elite Solvent, which works pretty good. I've used it for years. But I recently was going to clean a really filthy AR, and I sprayed this on there, like the bolt carrier group, stuff like that. And it's a solvent. Now, something came up and I had to go do something else, and I thought, well, I don't want to just leave solvent on the gun for a long period of time. I don't know when I'll be able to come back and get it. And then I sprayed it after it had been soaking for, I don't know, minutes, 30 minutes or so, maybe an hour. I sprayed it with WD-40 just so it wouldn't corrode the metal or give me any problems. And I came back later and I wiped it, and it came off like it was powder. It came off like nothing. If you've ever cleaned a bolt carrier group, you know what a pain in the butt they can be. This was crazy to me. Somebody that's been in the military, the Marine Corps, that used a ton of CLP and solvents, just how easy and effective that was. So if you're looking to clean something with a lot of carbon and or whatever kind of nasty deposits, again, kind of a game changer for me. I can't believe I didn't know about this earlier, but spray it with some of that Hops Elite, let it sit a few minutes, and then spray it with WD-40 and let it sit a while, and then come back and wipe it off. It was crazy how effective that was. Now, clean it off afterwards. I'm not saying to do this and run it like that, and WD-40 is not my favorite gun lube for lubing guns, but for like cleaning stuff, getting water out of stuff, it's pretty good, and this combination seemed to work really well. So that's your tactical tip of the day, your tactical verse of the day. Man, I was reading Romans this morning, and need I say more? Like, Romans is just such a beautiful book, and there's so much theology, philosophy, just beauty and power in this one little section I'm going to read to you. I took a screenshot of it this morning and sent it to the patrons in the insider chat. I'm just going to read it for you here because it's there's so much in it. And not only that, but we also glory in tribulation, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance character, and character hope. Now hope does not disappoint, because the love of God has been poured out in our hearts by the Holy Spirit who was given to us. For when we were still without strength, in due time Christ died for the ungodly. For scarcely for a righteous man will one die, yet perhaps for a good man someone would even dare to die. But God demonstrates his own love towards us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Much more then, having now been justified by his blood, we shall be saved from wrath through him. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Thanks for listening. Have a blessed day.